Are you thinking about moving to Lancaster City? Well, here's the truth about living here that all people should know before moving here. Look, jumping right into things, living in Lancaster City, parking is a hassle. It can be a hassle, between streets, certain streets requiring permits, or, having to deal with the street parking, limited street parking for that, you know, having an actual off-street parking spot for your home, a dedicated parking spot for your car, can be considered a luxury in this city. And I know that's not uncommon in lots of cities, but in a city that was originally structured and engineered to be for considerably less people than that are living here right now, it can be a bit of a hassle to try to find parking, whether you live in the city or you're just visiting a shop or something downtown and you need to find parking, and that can also be a little bit of a hassle. The next thing is competitive housing. Look, it's a hot market. You're going to be dealing with a lot of other buyers in the area that want the same thing that you want. So it can be tough as a buyer looking in this highly sought after area when you're competing against a bunch of other buyers. If you're looking for ways to be more competitive as a buyer without necessarily spending more money, leave a comment down below. Feel free to like and subscribe to the video. I'd love to connect with you there. That way we can figure something out and figure out how I can help you best be the most competitive buyer in the Lancaster County market. And with that being said, for any of your real estate questions in general, I'd be happy to connect with you in the comment section. My goal is to be your #1 real estate resource when it comes to Lancaster, Pennsylvania. So any questions that you have, feel free to drop those down below. This next thing can be looked at from a couple different point of views. The old house quirks can be looked at as a good thing, although I will tell you, just with some of these old houses, with these century-old plumbing and century-old systems that they have in place, it can lead to issues and surprises that come up on inspections. And that's why I always recommend getting inspections on properties, especially ones that you really don't know what you're looking at. Another thing that you should know about Lancaster is we got a lot of noise and events going on the weekends downtown Lancaster. Whether there's festivals going on downtown or block parties or whatever it is, a parade, these things can lead to blocked off like whole blocks and whole sections of the city, which can lead to traffic issues and just dampers into your day. So sometimes, you have to plan around these events that are going on downtown, and plan your day kind of around it, whether you're involved in it or you're not involved in it. Sometimes you got to just avoid this, the whole section of the city that it is taking place in, because it can completely delay your commute to wherever you're trying to go. Traffic. Look, the traffic can get very backed up, especially in certain parts of the city. And like I've said before, look, this town was made for considerably less people than who are living here now. And as the infrastructure has been built up, traffic patterns still in certain areas can be left behind a little bit. So depending on where you're going and, what mode of transportation you plan on taking there, especially driving by car, you might want to plan ahead, figure out, the best route to take. As you live here and as you know the area, you tend to find out the best routes to take that have the least amount of traffic. It might not be the main route. It might be a couple more miles, mileage-wise, but it might be quicker at the end of the day, and most of the time it is, and you have less traffic. So you get to learn that and know that as you live here. You know all the back roads and the other ways to get places, but in general, traffic can be a little bit of a headache while living here. But with that all being said, it's not all bad living in Lancaster. Don't worry. In fact, with its growing population, it's all due to just how desirable of a place it is to live. And so let's jump into some of the great things about living in Lancaster and all the things that do attract all the people coming from out of the area, places like Brooklyn and Philadelphia, places that people are migrating from to Lancaster to live here. Look, one of the huge things that people always tell me all the time is the small town feel that you get in Lancaster, while not losing any of the amenities that you would have typically in the bigger cities. So, Lancaster still has everything that you would need and everything that you would want in a typical city and urban environment, while still having that small town feel. Also going hand in hand with the small town feel, the city also has a lot of old charm homes that people just love and adore. And so some of those old house quirks that I was talking about earlier, which can be seen as, maybe not such a great thing, sometimes people love them. It adds character to the house, and people just love from some of these homes going back all the way to the 1800s. Another great thing about the city is its walkability and bikeability. A lot of those traffic and parking flaws that I was talking about before are completely irrelevant to a lot of the people that do live here, because they're able to commute to wherever they need to go on a day-to-day basis by foot or bike. Another great charm that people love about Lancaster City and just Lancaster County in general is its farm-to-table freshness with some of these restaurants. And what do I mean by that? Well, a lot of the restaurants in the area are responsible for having some of the greatest food, all because they're getting their food from local farmers. They're sourcing it from local farmers in the area right to the table, right to the dinner table. So a lot of people love that. We have amazing food here. People love the food culture here. And that is hugely responsible because of the local farmers that live in the area and provide our food to us. So yes, the city can test your patience sometimes depending on who you are. But in Lancaster, we really have a spot here for everyone, no matter your lifestyle. Because even if the city isn't for you, we are so fortunate to be able to offer so much more. If you're interested to see what some of that other stuff might look like and see if Lancaster is really the place for you, be sure to like, subscribe, and check out some of my other videos to see some of the other places around Lancaster.